I'm just speechless at my stupidity, but we'll talk all about all of that.
Welcome to A Different Corner, a fantasy football podcast. This is the only George-themed fantasy football podcast in the world, where we're pretty certain of that anyway. I've not checked necessarily, but we're pretty sure we can go with that. I say we because I'm joined by, as always, my good friend and my arch nemesis in FPL world, Dr. Luman Ali. Luman, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Just the usual dad and family stuff. Other than that, it's been an interesting week fantasy football wise, and I'm just glad that football's back. It was just so nice to watch a few games on Saturday. I remember I watched the Liverpool game, I watched pretty much the whole of the Arsenal game, and I watched the first half of the Villa game. I just watched a lot of football, and it was brilliant. So very glad that football is back. How about you?
I never understand how dads can, unless you've managed to train your kids so well to basically either leave you alone or, even better yet, watch with you 90 minutes of football. I will never know this joy because my kids are now 8 and 5, and I have never been able to sit down and watch even probably half of football. I remember when my eldest daughter was very young and just played on the kind of the carpet, like 1-2 years old. But after that, it was like no point. I had to cancel my Sky subscription because it was just pointless because I could not get through even a half of football. So I'm jealous of all of the dads who are like you.
I mean, it's very, very simple in my household. I've got my eldest is turning 6 this weekend, and the other one's turning 3 this weekend, and they both know when the football's on, don't disturb Dad. Like, I'm watching the Liverpool game, 4:30 against Brentford.
Oh, I'm very jealous. But perhaps that's the only thing I should be jealous of you of this week, Luman, because FPL terms, I'm kind of looking kind of smug about myself, feeling kind of good about myself when I look at game week 1. Shall I do mine and then we do yours? So we do a little points reveal.
Yeah.
As we speak, I should say, we've got Spurs and Leicester on. It's currently on, but I don't have any players playing in this. So mine is locked in now. And I got for game week 1 a total of 83 points. I got my points from the Arsenal boys, mostly, really. Raya in goal got me 8. Saka got the 12. Havertz got 12 for me. Elsewhere, my defence did pretty well. Burn at Newcastle. Martinez at United got me 7, a clean sheet and a bonus. And then the Liverpool boys, Mo and Diego Jota. I captained Isak like quite a few other people did, and that was probably my only big disappointment of the weekend. I went with a bit of a curveball with Nico Jackson at home from Chelsea to Man City. Did nothing for me, and I didn't get anything for Concert at Aston Villa. But yeah, 83 points. I cannot grumble about that. I have a few things to say about my own team from the last game week, but I'll let you do your points total first.
So going into today, I was on 64 points, but I've got a couple of Spurs players playing with not Pedro Porro. I wish Pedro Porro, with Van der Ven and Solanke. So I said to myself, if I break 70 or get near 70, I'll be happy, considering where I was now. My team was all about captaining Mo Salah. I mean, how can you not captain Mo Salah against a newly promoted team? So Mo Salah, I captained him, and I had Diego Jota in, and he got me 8 points. You know what's interesting, right? Your team, apart from 2 players, everyone got your points, right? With my team so far, only 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6 players have got me points with Van de Ven and Solanke left to play. So captaining Salah was a big thing. I mean, that he gave me a big points total.
Yeah.
I've got Isaac and Diogo Jota like you. Hall is a Newcastle defender. Flecken is he got me a couple of extra points with saves. And the guy who really did it for me was Brian Mbeumo with 9 points. He scored a goal and he got 2 bonus points.
You might not be so satisfied. You might not be so satisfied because Spurs have just conceded. Jamie Vardy just leveled one back for Leicester City.
He's
it's
having
1-1
a party,
over there.
isn't he? He's having a party.
He's having a party. But no, I agree with you.
God.
You should be. I think you should be very satisfied considering the points. And actually, I was looking, and I did. I can't. I was very pleased with my Saturday score. But actually, I looked at my rivals in all the leagues, and they still had 4 or 5 players to play, and I was like, oh well, there's my lead kind of gone there. Yeah, so it's so early. It's so early doors.
It's better to have points in the bank, and you're not saying
you're
it,
right.
but that Vardy goal that's gone in now, I can see you now how happy you feel because it's back.
You know what it is? It's being an Arsenal fan this season. The first result I'm looking at is Man City's score, right? So the first result I'm looking at in FPL is your score now, Luman. This is how it works. This has got to be it. I'm looking at yours. I'm looking at my cousins in my family league because I've got to keep an eye on my enemies. That's what I've got to be doing. So I'm taking any joy I can. Because I was so far away. Luman, I was so far away from you last season. So far away from you. I've got to get better this season. So any game week I can win in, I'm taking it. I've got to take it. But this is the first time, Luman, actually, I mentioned this, the first time we've actually got a look at each other's squads here. I looked at yours and I thought, actually, we've gone with a similar sort of philosophy in that we've got 2 big boys in midfield, we've got very cheap defenders, and we both left out Erling Haaland. And this weekend, I thought, actually, we've been justified. We'll talk about game week 2 later. But this weekend, I thought, you know what? An Erling Haaland goal, that's it. Fine, I'd take that. Isak got us both 5 points. I captained him, so he got me 10. But Watkins didn't show up for you. Solanke still got 30 minutes to do something here. So, we kind of, I feel like, went with a very similar sort of philosophy. Real dump very little money as we can in our defense. 2 premium midfielders, and then a generally good 3 strikers. I mean, you got the best scoring striker on the game from last season in Ollie Watkins in the team. So it's not even, I would say he's a premium striker, although he didn't do anything this weekend. I did spend more money on you at the back in goal between the sticks. I got David Raya, who did well for me this weekend, of course. But I feel like we've gone with a similar sort of philosophy. When you look around at other teams, when you looked at the points coming in, you could see who's got what, and you could see other squads for the first time. Were you like me a bit nervous? Because I thought, oh shoot, they've got Haaland, or they've got Eze, or they've got Bruno Fernandes. I was very worried about my rivals this weekend because I thought, everyone's kind of gone big in areas where I've not gone big necessarily.
To be honest with you, no, I wasn't really worried about that. I was most worried by you, if I'm going to be honest with you, because you did something strategically which is a no-brainer that I should have done, which is you identified one out of the 2 strongest teams this season in Arsenal and tripled up on them. It's like the most obvious strategy. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to be copying it because I was just Like, why didn't I do that? Like, it's the most obvious move to make. Uh, it's so obvious.
And
Why not
you
Man
haven't got
City?
any Arsenal players.
No.
Is that because did you not have Arsenal in because you didn't think we would be as good? I mean, it's only one game. We've got to play
No,
Aston Villa next
I
week,
thought
so who knows?
I thought Wolves would be a potentially difficult game because of Gary O'Neill,
Mm,
etc. And they had their
mm,
chances. I mean, Raya had pulled out a world-class save
yeah,
as well. So there was
absolutely.
that. And also, I looked at Arsenal's fixture list and I saw their next 4 games are Villa away, Brighton at home, Tottenham away, Man City away. To be honest with you, that Tottenham away game, it should be a walk in the park. We're talking about Tottenham here.
Absolutely. No way. I don't like our fixtures. Our opening fixtures are not great, for sure. I mean, I'm thinking of switching out Raya, not taking him out of my squad, but I've got Henderson as my sub goalkeeper. But even in the top most difficult fixtures, it's very difficult for me not to have Bukayo Saka in because he's just so good and I love him so much. And Kai Havertz is our now number 9, right? He's just our striker now. So, if anyone's going to score us goals, it's going to come from, I imagine, those two. So that was my thinking. But yeah, anyway, they are our first game week scores. At the minute, I'm on 83. At the minute, you're in the high 60s, but we've still got 20 minutes left of the Spurs Leicester game. What did we learn? What did we learn from game week 1, Luman? What did we learn?
Well, firstly, you learn that some of these big hitters are big hitters for a reason. Mo Salah, he delivered. Saka, he delivered. Haaland, yes, he scored a goal, but that was in a team that doesn't have Rodri as well, and it's the first game of the season. So the tried and tested guys delivered. What else was interesting this week was, and this is one of the reasons why so many teams have got high points for a game week 1, is in six out of the 10 games, there's clean sheets. And there's a lot of clean sheet points that have gone round. I didn't get one because Jarrell Kwanzaa had a stinker and got subbed at half time. In real life terms, I was happy because we had a massive uptick in fortune. In fantasy terms, it screwed me over because I lost out on clean sheet points. But yeah, so clean sheets were the order of the day. Those are the 2 big things from this game week. Is the big players showed themselves, especially Mo. Oh my God! Just out of curiosity, how could you not captain Mo Salah against the newly promoted team, and he's had a great preseason as well? He missed chances.
You know what it
as well,
was?
right?
I just yeah, for sure. You know what it was? I just fancied an Isak at home to a newly promoted Southampton, and I was basically almost judging it on who do I think is going to do better this season, Southampton or Ipswich, and I actually rate Ipswich. I've got a friend I play football with who's an Ipswich fan, and he was like, "This coach is something special," and I was like, "All right, fine. Oh, Vardy's in on goal." Oh, he's always missed a one-on-one. Sorry, I was just commentating on the game there. But yeah, so I was thinking Ipswich would actually be a bit harder work than Southampton for Newcastle because it was at home at Ipswich as well. First game of the season, I thought it'd be an atmosphere. And by all intents and purposes, I think Ipswich did put up a bit of a fight for Liverpool, and it wasn't necessarily a walk in the fight park.
More than a bit of a fight. First half, Liverpool were awful. Ipswich were great, but that substitution changed everything. And Velarde came on, so we just basically started dominating them. Loads of chances.
Yeah, so that was my thinking. Really, that was my thinking. Isak at home, I kind of we know how good he was last season. I just thought he would go off. That sending off really messed everything up, really. But you mentioned it there, Kwanzaa and the Konate, that substitution happening. How much now back to fancy terms does the first game week, I mean, I don't know if it affects you so much, but if you've got players who were substituted, or you've got players who didn't feature at all, do you in game week 2 try to get them out as soon as possible, or do you try to fix something else? Like for me, for example, I don't know if I'm wanting Anthony Gordon. I kind of like the look of Eze, but actually I've got a defender for Brighton at 4 million who didn't play a minute, and he was only 4 million. If he drops down in price, I'm losing money big time, and I can't get anyone in. So it's real tricky for me. So what do you do? And what should I don't know? Like what should I do even? Should I get rid of the player who didn't play a minute, or should I just want to do something I prefer to do?
I don't think he's gonna lose value straight away, but yeah, I need to make a decision on Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa has messed it up big time. You imagine he went into this season as first choice centre back and he lost that after 45 minutes. I mean,
And what was that? And was the manager pretty harsh, or was it fairly accurate? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
It was accurate. I mean, we were just losing all the second balls, and we needed a dominating presence in there. That's what Konate is. And Kwanzaa was just not just Kwanzaa. The whole team in the first half were having a bad time, and I think Arne Slot sent a message there saying, "I'm not afraid to make substitutions early on in the game." If I see this team struggling. So yeah, I have got a decision to make, but we'll hold fire on that with the preview next week. But I mean, what else we learned? I mean, Brighton.
You know what, Luman? We've got our Brighton back. That's what I wanted to say about Brighton.
We do, but do you know what? I want to know something, right? I was hoping that you wouldn't know about Minte. I was hoping to pull Minte out the bag, and then I see that you've got him, and I think, how did you get him in your Tell me about that, because you didn't talk about him in the last show. And you said you weren't following preseason either. So,
yeah, no, I'm fresh on Minte. I'm Minte fresh. That's what I am. Because you know what it is. You know this game week for me. I feel like the homework that I managed to cram in. Remember, I hadn't really looked at my FPL until the 4 days beforehand. So I was just cramming in any preseason results. I was going through Google to what do they do in preseason? Who played? Who, so I looked at Wolves. I was looking at all these kind of secondary teams. I know about the Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, but those secondary teams who I really like, those budget players from, so Palace, Wolves, Brighton, and Brighton were balling in pre-season. And then I found out that they've got this young manager, and I was like, oh, this is such a Brighton move. They just go left when everyone's going right. They've just done something smart here. And then you're thinking a rejuvenated Mitoma. And then who's this? Oh, hang on. Who's this Minte? Oh, he's on the score sheet here. Oh, we got an assist in preseason there. All of a sudden, his numbers in preseason were racking up. And I was like, never heard of this guy. Let me see how much he is. What? 5.5 million? All right, that will be my budget midfielder. I did get, what's his name? Borco in defense at 4 million. Apparently, he was amazing in preseason, but that's one that didn't work out for me because he didn't kick a ball. But Brighton, I feel like it's that sort of hipster team that everyone loved Brighton that a few seasons ago, didn't they? But I imagine Mitoma is going to be well owned. Minte will become well owned, although he's got a yellow marker. He had to come off, I think, after 45 minutes with a head injury. So whether he plays or not. And I'm just looking though, his next fixtures are Man U and then Arsenal. So maybe I'm going a bit too big on Brighton, but I just kind of like them. But I just kind of like them. I feel like if they do what they did against Everton, goodness me, they just tore them apart. So I think I kind of like Brighton again. Actually, someone like João Pedro, that is a cheap forward. Danny Welbeck, my guy's still scoring goals. And, I just like Brighton. I don't like them defensively. I don't think you can get 4.5 million defenders there, but I'm not sure I like that. But certainly going forward, we've got our Brighton back.
Yeah, definitely. And Minche, I had planned to get him in even before this game week for when their fixtures get better, but you've already got him in. You're not going to shift him now. So looks like our teams are going to be looking very similar very soon, just like always.
The thing is, this is what happens, doesn't it? This is what happens with all fans. That someone will go. Matoma is going to go off. Everyone will get Matoma in. So it happened with Gordon last season, right? Those sorts of players at a certain price range, and you bring them in. But I just wanted to make a note of Brighton on the other scale of things, and maybe I'm going way too big in my predictions, jumping to far too many conclusions. But I was kind of excited by Chelsea pre-season. I just thought, oh, you know what? New manager, and they have got a good collection of players. And actually, I don't know what Chelsea Football Club are, man. I just don't know what they are. A mess, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's terrific. I mean, at this rate, we'll be scouted and we'll be playing for them come Sunday. I mean, I've never known anything like it, where one club is signing this volume of players. I mean, it's Brentford and Forest did it one summer and that was it. They did it one summer and that was it. These guys are doing it every single transfer window. I speak closely to a Chelsea fan, and he was saying to me that how winning games and winning trophies is the dopamine hit for other clubs. For Chelsea, it's signing players. That's how it's become. Like, who is it now? But it's the fact that they're signing inexperienced players as well. However, having said all of that, I've been told I didn't watch the match because I actually take the family out. So contrary to what you think, it's not all about football. I do spend some time with the family. I asked this Chelsea fan about the match. He said difference between the teams was taking of chances. Other than that, there wasn't much in the game. First game versus City doesn't get more difficult than that. So hopefully the remaining teams we play should be an easier task. So by his account, he's hopeful, he's optimistic. So on that basis, should I keep Cole Palmer?
The thing is, Cole Palmer's so good, right? I think if you just get a good collection, good to very good collection of players in, you're going to get results. It's just they've got so many players. They've got a mess with Raheem Sterling now coming out and saying what he's saying. They've got a new manager to add to all of this who, whilst got Leicester City up very well, there were question marks over Leicester City. They should have won the title way, way earlier than they should. And I just think, I wonder how good he actually is. Leicester City fans tell me that he is an excellent coach, but I don't. It's just like, I'm not sure. You know what it is? It's a couple things as well. I saw that they'd captained. I know Conor Gallagher was their captain last season. He's just about to move to Atletico Madrid. And, he was one of their best players last season. Not from an FPL point of view, just from a needing to do work on the pitch point of view. And then I saw that they've got Fernandes as captain. And I was like, didn't he have some sort of like really terrible racist chant with Argentina?
Yeah.
And now I saw the captain's armband on him. And I was like, surely they've got someone else in that squad who would be better. And I thought, oh gosh, they got, I think it was Colwill at the back. Just give it him. I know he's only just arrived. Just give it him. Like, give it Cole Palmer. Like, just like, that's such a bad look. And I thought these sorts of small decisions, like, I just don't think it just screams to me, I don't know what I'm doing. And with that, I just think, oh gosh, Christian Nkunku, I had eyes on. I've not really anymore. Nico Jackson will be one of my the first on the chopping block. I say all this, but Chelsea's fixtures are pretty juicy going forward. Wolves, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Forest. if they're going to get points, they are going to get results. It's just whether you can trust Chelsea to do something consistent.
You say that, but let's go through this. Wolves, they're not a bad team. Like Crystal Palace, not a bad team. Bournemouth, not a bad team. West Ham, not a bad team. Brighton, not a bad team. Forest, they should win that. Then they got Liverpool away, Newcastle at home. This is their run of fixtures from game week 8 to game week 11. Liverpool away, Newcastle at home, Man U away, Arsenal at home.
You ran through those first few fixtures, not really saying that they're not difficult. They're difficult games. Of course, they're difficult games. This is the Premier League. But do you not expect them to win those games in the first, Wolves, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Forest? I expect them to get some wins out of that.
Yeah. Well, this is where it gets interesting this year, right? Last year, having Cole Palmer or Saka or Foden wasn't too bad because they were inexpensive. And even having them in your team, it didn't impact the rest of your team financially. And now having a Palmer at 10.5, and if he's not doing the business, you need it. It's a massive detriment to the rest of the team, right?
Yeah.
So this is why, it was for me a dire consequence, which is also the name of my team, to not have Saka in and have Palmer in. And also, the other thing is, I've got Watkins in along with almost 35% of other teams, right? But then I don't know why I got him in with the fixtures, West Ham away was a tricky game and Arsenal at home is a tricky game. So, maybe I should have looked at Watkins later on and got Havertz in. So, there you have it. And come on, man, Spurs. How can you really have Spurs players in your team? Like, I had Solanke in because of Bournemouth, but now that he's gone to Spurs, his career's going to die. I mean...
Oh, God. That's harsh, isn't it, Luman?
Leicester City are a terrible team. Leicester City are a terrible team. Leicester City fans will tell you that, right? And yet, they're drawing against them.
We're saying this with 84 minutes gone. There's still some minutes there, and Dominic Solanke at the tip of that attack, that Spurs attack. He's going to score goals. He is going to score goals. I don't think his career is going to die. I think that's a good signing for Spurs.
Leicester City. He made himself at home with Spurs. Giorgio Chiellini, what did he say? It's in their history. Failure is in their history. Losing is in their history. Spurs could have, in quick succession, Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, and they had that for Jose Mourinho as well. They could have all of these managers and not win anything. That's Spurs for you.
It's game week 1, Luman. It's game week 1.
Have you heard
and Spurs haven't...
Have you heard the expression, start as you mean to go on?
Well, yeah, true. I'm hoping to, anyway. I'm hoping to. We should talk now. You mentioned it there. You've got a little feature here. It's the name of your team is Dire Consequenza, which is dire consequences when you read it out as text form. Tell us what you want to talk about in this segment called Dire Consequences.
So what I want to talk about is the decision you made, which has led to disaster. And for me, is putting Jarell Quansah in. Not only did he get some, not only did he not get me any points, he's going to cost me a transfer. So, it's been an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. What about you? Have you got any decisions like that?
It's not an absolute disaster, but it's causing me problems. I got Valentin Barco, Brighton defender, who didn't play a minute, and he's at 4 million. And that's problematic because once his price goes down, I actually cannot get anyone else in because the lowest an FPL player is 4 million, right? So actually the numbers don't work out. Yeah, that is not an absolute disaster. I suppose where I'm looking at my problems, where I put some faith in, was like a Nico Jackson, and I'm going to try and change that as soon as possible. There's a few strikers who I kind of like, Chris Wood, Forest. I actually don't mind Forest this season. And with Nuno in charge for a season, with the players that they've got going forward, I kind of like some Forest players. There's some budget basic strikers, what I'm getting at, who I could easily take out Nico Jackson for and save me a couple million probably. So yeah, I'm not disastrous yet, which should probably really take us to game week 2 and what we're both thinking for game week 2. For me, it's actually the opposite of game week 1, where I was going into it really positive, a lot of home fixtures. This week, I've got, my big boys are away. Arsenal boys are away at Villa. It's where we also really struggled last season. Very difficult place to go. Newcastle as well are away. Who are they away to? They're away to Bournemouth. So I've got 3 Newcastle boys. So I'm not feeling as confident this game week. I do need to make a transfer. Whether it's one boring one or more exciting one, I'm not sure. An exciting one for me is getting in Eze at Crystal Palace. That when I saw people with him in, I was really worried because he played superbly from what I saw. Don't know if you've seen the highlights, Crystal Palace. He scored this free kick, which everyone thought was going in for a cross, and he smashed it in off the post. I was like, oh my gosh. And it got called for a foul in the box stupidly. And that was just like him on his own, like just doing Eze things. And I thought, oh, this guy, yeah, that he is one to be trying to get in.
But if I look at your team, I know exactly what I would do this week. I would actually go minus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Go on.
Are you ready for this?
Go on.
I would take out Mo Salah.
Come on, man.
No, you hear me out. Hear me out. I would take out Mo Salah.
Yeah.
I would take out Isaac.
Yeah.
And I'd bring in Haaland. And a budget midfielder, because Haaland at home to Ipswich.
You said it last week, and it reminded me of that song, "Girl, I'm gonna make you sweat." And I'm the girl, and the players that are making me sweat this game week are Haaland, are Bruno Fernandes, who basically played as a striker, which I didn't know about. I didn't realize that that's what was happening there. Eze. They're the 3 players, and actually we've bashed them loads, but Spurs are playing Everton at home. So come on, man. If Solanke is going to score, he's going to score a hat-trick in that game, because Everton were horrible. I mean, really bad. So, yeah, I've got a lot of sweating to do.
I've got some decisions to make, but you know what? Let's see how it goes. I already know what you're going to do, by the way. It's so obvious you're going to captain Mo Salah. Like, it's just like...
Oh, for sure. That's such an easy move to make. Because also, if you've got no Haaland this week, you should, and you've got Salah. There's not a team who doesn't have Haaland, who also doesn't have Salah. If you're in that position, that's a terrible, terrible squad you've got there. I don't know how you've built your squad. But if you've not got Haaland, you've definitely got Salah. So you are definitely captaining Salah. There's no there's nothing to hide there. That's an obvious move.
I wouldn't captain Salah if I was you. You know what I would captain if I was you? You know what I would captain?
You go on.
Saka. Starboy.
Yeah. You're playing games here,
obviously.
Starboy. But this is not about our rivalry. This is about giving the listeners and giving the audience some FPL value. You know what we've not talked about, by the way. We've not talked about. We kind of hinted at it's a new season, but same old story. The big boys did what big boys do, and we kind of talked about Brighton. We've bashed Chelsea and Spurs. But you know what we also didn't do? It was a bit of a deja vu from last season. But the Brentford boys, Wissa and Mbuemo, well, let's talk about him. Brian is back, baby. Brian is back. Wissa is back. Tony's gone. So Brentford are looking at these two as their output again. We're basically in the same position as we were last season. This same time last season, where everyone had to kind of load up on them, and Brian and Mbuemo was getting points. They kind of dried up. But oh my gosh, they started well. Brian Mbuemo is 7 million. He features in Luman's team. This is a call to all of Luman's rivals. This is a call. He's gritting his teeth looking at me. This is a call to all of Luman's rivals. £7 million midfielder, goal-scoring midfielder who basically plays like he's like a budget Mo Salah. He's like off the wing, comes in, he's scoring goals, he's getting chances. The only problem is Brentford's fixtures are horrible, if I remember correctly. Liverpool away, Southampton at home, City away, Spurs away, West Ham at home. It could be better for Brentford, but Brian's getting goals, man. Brian's back. Same new seasons, same story, and the story is that Brian is back. And Wissa, I should mention his strike partner.
I was thinking that, we'd have such limited time, we wouldn't get a chance to talk about the Brentford players, but Wembo did well for me, and between them, they got me 13 points, so I can't complain. But like you said, they've got Liverpool next. Let's see, but and Wemo, I was happy with that. But all in all, it was. So I think I'm going to end up on 68 points, which is a decent return. Slightly above average. But I'm already playing catch up to you. Let's see where we go with all of this. But it's been an interesting start to the season.
Interesting one indeed. Game week 2 is around the corner, Luman. Where will we be?
We'll be there. We will be there.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Looking forward to it already.